My boyfriend and I have been together for a year and a half. We are an amazing match and very much in love. The only issue is he has a long-distance female friend who has always acted differently than his other friends, whether they are male or female. For the history, several years ago, he used to be in love with her. He has described his past feelings as an obsession. They worked in the same environment in an area he is very passionate about, but he has since gotten other work. She did not return his feelings. He describes this as a horribly painful time in his life, but says after a long time of trying with her, he eventually accepted they would not be any more than friends and decided to maintain the relationship on a friendly level. He told me about her early in our relationship while we were getting to know each other's histories. I could tell from the way he spoke about this experience that there was still some pain when he talked about the heartbreak he had gone through. However, at this point, I was not uncomfortable with him telling me that they still keep up from time to time. I saw it as a good sign that he was able to maintain the friendship. That said, he described this as occasionally catching up on social media. A couple of months into dating, the first time I started feeling uneasy, we were hanging out, just laughing about something together, and he accidentally called me by her name. I'm not gonna lie, it stung, but we talked it out. He explained it was just a brain fart. Accidents happen, and I let it go. As time went on, I would notice him opening his phone to her messages being open while we were together somewhat frequently, but I assured myself they were just friends and didn't pry or really ask for much information. For context, my last relationship was toxic. We would read through each other's phones and constantly be questioning things like that, so I have been very intentional with not doing any of that and trusting him. Finally, around 9 months in, she came up in conversation, and I decided to ask him if his friend knew he had a girlfriend. He said no, that he hadn't mentioned me. I found that strange, seeing how frequently they talk. I told him how I felt about it, but we didn't talk much about it other than that. About a month later, it started really bugging me. I brought this topic up again, asking if he had mentioned our relationship to her yet. This time, he said no. He's never told her about me, but if I wanted her to know, he could tell her. This made me feel confused and put me into a sort of unproductive double bind. Yes, I want her to know, but I don't want to force him to do it. I wanted it to be something he was excited to talk about and share with people. All of his male friends had heard about us within days of us being together. So why is this friendship different? He has attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, and he explained that he doesn't want to hide us, but just forgets to bring me up when they talk. He didn't understand why I was upset since he was willing to tell her. I just told him I wanted him to do it on his own. The third time I asked, he still hadn't told her. This caused a fight between us. He got very defensive, accused me of being jealous, and sarcastically asked me if he was supposed to let every single person in his life know about someone he's dating after only a month. At this point, we were over 10 months into dating. He also said he wanted to make sure we were going somewhere before telling her, which really hurt me because he had told the rest of his friends right away. It made me feel like he was leaving a door open for her to one day reciprocate his past feelings. I told him at this point it was disrespectful. After some back and forth, he realized how it made me feel. He sincerely apologized, and we agreed to get couples counseling. Working with our counselor, he finally told her about us. She was happy for him. I should have felt better, but I honestly didn't. I still tried my best to put it to rest and move on. I started to realize that whenever she would come up on his phone, he would turn his screen away from me. I noticed this multiple times. When I asked him about it, he explained that he just didn't want to make me worry since I had felt weird about their friendship. I told him his pattern of being secretive is what worried me and that I obviously know they talk. I have never read their messages, so I don't know what they talk about, and he never brings her up. So a couple of days ago, he let me know she is coming into town for an event she works for and wanted to invite the two of us. He told me he'd like me to be there, but he is going regardless. I really hate this. The only thing that kept me sane for a while was the fact that she lives out of state, so he can't see her, and him telling me they aren't that close anymore. I have social anxiety, and I really don't see myself enjoying this. But at the same time, at this point, I'd rather go just so he isn't alone with her. Keeping his relationship status from her for so long hurt my trust in him. I don't know what to do. I feel sick, and I'm dreading this, but I don't want to be a controlling person. What do I do? Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. I don't think you're controlling. I think you're intuitive and not willing to face what you already know. The lack of romance between them is not his choice, and if she changed her mind, he would be there. He is making sure to stay close enough to remain an option for her. You can go to the event with him. Heck, it may go perfectly. You might even personally witness the most epic friend zoning of all time right in front of you, but that won't fix your problem. No matter how small his chance with her is, his main priority is preserving that. Comment 2. I would ask him if he thinks it is in the best interest of your relationship for him to go see her. Ask him why he is putting himself in a situation like this and why he thinks you should accept this. How is he showing his loyalty and respect to you? What is his ideal outcome from seeing her? Put him on the spot and make him really consider his actions. And honestly, I would be giving this relationship serious reconsideration after he said he was going to see her with or without you. A good boyfriend would not do that. Now, for the update. A couple of days after my last post, my boyfriend's long-distance friend showed up in town for the planned event. Of course, she had to be the one to arrive. Why wouldn't she be? My boyfriend insisted on picking her up from the airport. He even said it was a surprise. Surprise? More like a slap in the face. I can't even explain how uneasy that made me feel. He gave me no warning and just casually mentioned it like it was nothing. I get that I can't control who he picks up from the airport, but something about this just felt wrong. I mean, it was like he was doing this on purpose. I didn't want to make a scene, so I just said I had a lot of studying to do, which wasn't a lie. I was so anxious that I couldn't focus anyway. So I stayed home instead of going to the event with them, which I convinced myself was for the best. I thought maybe some time apart would help. I spent the evening texting my boyfriend, asking how everything was going. He responded with the most vague messages possible, which only made my anxiety worse. I know he was probably just being his usual vague self, but come on, this was not the time for that. The next day, he invited me to join them for lunch at a popular local diner. I hesitated at first, but I didn't want to make things worse, so I reluctantly agreed. I figured the sooner we got this over with, the better. At the diner, his friend was all friendly and engaging, but I just couldn't shake off my discomfort. It was like a dark cloud was hanging over me, and no amount of small talk could get rid of it. My boyfriend and his friend reminisced about their past, sharing inside jokes that made me feel like a total outsider. I tried to contribute to the conversation, but my attempts were brushed aside like they didn't even happen. It was infuriating. After lunch, my boyfriend suggested a trip to the local amusement park, which his friend enthusiastically agreed to. I could tell they were really excited, but I felt this pressure to join them. It was like I had no choice. My boyfriend insisted it would be fun for all of us, and I just went along with it. I know I should have put my foot down, but I was so exhausted from all this. At the amusement park, my boyfriend and his friend rode every roller coaster together, while I was left feeling like a third wheel. It was just one big happy reunion for them, and I was just there to tag along. A little while into it, I decided to step away for a moment. I just needed a breather. While I was away, I overheard my boyfriend and his friend sharing intimate stories about their past, and I just lost it. I couldn't take it anymore. I marched right back to them and confronted my boyfriend about his secretive behavior. Of course, he got all defensive and insisted he hadn't done anything wrong. The friend tried to smooth things over, which only made me more infuriated. I didn't need her to tell me I was overreacting. I knew exactly what I was feeling. I stormed off and vowed to take a break from the whole situation. On my way home, I found myself scrolling through social media. I know, bad idea, but I couldn't help it. That's when I stumbled upon a photo of my boyfriend and his friend together at a party from a few months ago. The caption read, "Best friends reunited." with a few heart emojis. My stomach dropped. I couldn't believe what I was seeing. I took a screenshot of the photo and sent it to my boyfriend, demanding an explanation. He tried to play it off, claiming it was just a friendly gathering and that the friend was just being playful. I was done with his nonsense at this point. Instead of responding, I decided to take matters into my own hands. I contacted the friend directly. I pretended to be all friendly and asked her about the party. She had no idea what I was doing, and she shared all the details about the party, including how much time they spent together. That's when I learned that she had been flirting with him the entire time, and he conveniently forgot to mention that. It was just the cherry on top, really. I felt empowered, like I had some sort of leverage now. I decided to confront my boyfriend again, this time with evidence. I invited him over for dinner, planning a calm conversation. As he arrived, I had the party photo displayed on my phone. During dinner, I showed him the screenshot, and his face just dropped. He started stammering and tried to deny any wrongdoing, but I calmly laid out the facts. The conversation escalated into a heated argument, with him claiming I was overreacting. He eventually stormed out, leaving me there fuming and shaking. A few days later, he texted me, asking to talk and clear the air. I agreed to meet, but on my terms. I wanted to set some boundaries moving forward. I decided to meet at a local carnival where we had shared good memories. It felt like a neutral ground, and I just hoped we could work through this. Edit. He admitted he had no romantic intentions with her. He also revealed she knows about our relationship and is trying to break us up. Am I the idiot for walking away from my fiancé after discovering his lies and betrayal? My fiancé, a 27-year-old man, and I have been together for 8.5 years, and we recently moved into an apartment together 1 year ago. This last year, my fiancé has had these angry moments every 1 to 2 months where he tells me everything he doesn't like about me. I'll often be crying, asking him why he is doing this, and he'll just continue to bring up scenarios from the past 2 months and long-term issues we've had. He also has been self-medicating with alcohol. When he is drinking, he starts cursing at me and becomes so intoxicated that I have to nurse him back to health, even though he is cursing at me. Most recently, he drove 20 minutes on the expressway after drinking 1/3 of a fifth of rum to his friend's house. His friend called me about the situation, and during our last 2 vacations, he has gotten completely wasted to the point where the whole day is ruined because I have to take care of him. This last week, we went on a work trip with his company, and he drank so much on day 2 that I had to drag him back to the hotel room before he started to embarrass himself in front of the higher-ups. I pretty much nursed him back to health the whole night. On day 4, he went silent on me, which is usually a sign that he is about to have one of his blow-ups. We were in a more private area of the public space before he started going off on me about all the things I do wrong. He said things like, I hate his family, I make his mom cry, I'm always complaining about how he doesn't buy me flowers or take me on dates, I spend too much, he's always cleaning up after me, I hate his friends, he hates shopping with me, hates the trips I plan for us, hates that I always order food, hates our apartment, and accuses me of things I don't do. I have my issues, but I definitely don't do everything that he said. In fact, I do a lot. The next day, he doesn't really say much. Eventually, when I ask what he is thinking, he says he's been thinking about everything that happened and he is sorry, that he needs help. But I know this will happen again, and I'm starting to think he is not sorry. I don't understand what this is. Prior to us living together, he was not like this. I'm lost as to what to do. I don't know if this is the person he has always been or if he is going through some quarter-life crisis or something. I want to help him, but it is seriously hurting me. A few more details. He dropped out of college and has been on and off jobs for the last 2 years. He finally found a good job that pays well back in March. I have my bachelor's degree and work in my field. I have been the breadwinner for the last couple of years, but he has been doing better lately with his new job. Now for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. He is becoming hurtful and alcoholic. It's escalating exactly when your relationship is progressing, which is the norm for abusers. Why? It's because abusers think you're more trapped, and it's safer for them to abuse you because it's harder for you to leave. Leave, before it gets worse. I know that's hard and scary, but it only gets worse. It's the emotional abuse first, but the physical abuse will likely come eventually too. And neither the likely alcoholism nor being hurtful is something to try to fix. One is enough. And no, the alcohol is not the reason he is hurtful. Comment 2. This is an hurtful relationship. Do not marry this man. If you need more processing and evidence, read Why Does He Do That by Lundy Bancroft. It is a very important book and may change your life. It certainly changed mine when a Redditor suggested it to me 8 years ago. I divorced the man who was messing with me, and I am now so much happier, married to a great, kind man with a good life. What you are experiencing does not need to be your normal. Now, for the update, I'm not going back to my ex-fiancé after he cheated on me with a coworker. It's been a while, like almost 9 months since I've been on here. I've gotten a lot of advice from here. Now, I'm back to give you guys an update on the situation and to ask for some more advice. After the big fight I posted about, my ex-fiancé went to his parents' house for the weekend to clear his head. I called my mom and dad and asked them if they wanted to come over for dinner. I was just hoping to distract myself and enjoy some good food. My dad asked about my ex-fiancé, and I just mentioned that he was away for the weekend. My mom must have sensed something was up because she asked if everything was okay. I just brushed it off and told her that everything was fine. After dinner, I got a call from my ex-fiancé's sister asking if I had heard from him. Apparently, their parents were worried because he hadn't arrived yet. This made me worried. I tried calling him, but he didn't answer. I also texted him to see if he was all right and if he was at his parents' house yet. The next morning, he finally texted me back, saying that he was staying with a friend instead. I asked him who the friend was, but he got really vague and just said it was someone from work. I decided to visit his parents' house, thinking that maybe he had gone there after all. They were surprised to see me and told me that he hadn't been there. They also mentioned that he hadn't said anything about staying with a friend and seemed really concerned about his whereabouts. I felt uneasy about the whole thing. Later that evening, I got a message from his friend asking if I had heard from him. Apparently, they were supposed to hang out, but he never showed up. I checked a couple of places to see if he was there, but he wasn't. I was feeling really defeated. I didn't hear from him again until Sunday, when he called saying he was on his way back. We agreed to meet for dinner that evening to talk things over. When we met up for dinner, he was acting as if nothing had happened. He was joking about how he needed a break from everything. I tried to bring up what happened over the weekend, but he just changed the subject to sports. He then snapped at me and accused me of being controlling and not trusting him. We ended up arguing loudly in the restaurant, and I could feel all the eyes on us. I was so humiliated and angry that I just left. He stayed behind and refused to follow me. When I got home, I decided to go through his things to see if I could find any clues about what was going on. I found a receipt from a hotel with a check-in date from the weekend. I knew what that meant. That night, I confronted him as soon as he got home holding the receipt. He tried to deny it and said it was a work trip, but I called him out on the lie. We ended up in a heated argument, and he accused me of invading his privacy. The next day, I packed up my things and decided to stay at my parents' house for a while. He begged me to stay, but I just felt that there was no going back after all the lies. A week later, while at my parents' house, I learned that he had been posting on social media showing off a new friend. I decided to end the engagement. I just knew that I couldn't go back to him after everything that had happened. He tried to get back together with me a couple of times, but I just told him that it was over. It's been a few months since then, and I'm actually doing a lot better. My parents have been really supportive and helped me through this tough time. I'm still living at their place for now, but I'm planning on getting my own place soon. I also started seeing someone new. He's been really great, and I'm actually really happy with him. Thanks for all the advice you guys gave me in the past. It really helped me get through this tough time. Thank you for reading. Edit. My ex-fiancé and I were engaged for about 2 years before this happened, and we had been living together for about 6 months when the issues started. The main reason I waited so long to respond was that I was still living together with him when I posted last. I moved back in with my parents for a while, but now I have my own apartment. My new partner and I have been dating for about 6 months. My ex-fiancé is still trying to get back with me, and I just ignore his messages. Am I the idiot for pursuing my career while my husband plays victim and avoids responsibility? For graduate school, I'm required to do a few months of fieldwork in a city where I know nobody. In theory, it should be 6 months, but due to financial reasons and the fact that I chose to go during the winter holidays as well, I brought it down to 2.5 months. My partner and I have been together for more than 7 years, and we live together. He's my best friend, and I love him. When I entered graduate school, he knew I would have to do this. His friends who went to graduate school have done this. All my senior colleagues have done this. My partner has known me throughout my studies, and I've never gone abroad. This is the only occasion I've gone. We've never been away from each other for so long, except during the pandemic, but before living together, we saw each other once a week. When preparing for the trip, every friend and colleague has congratulated me and asked if he would come to visit me. I didn't know the answer, and I still don't because he deviates from the question when I ask him, saying he might in a vague way. Strangely, friends have arranged to see me, even ones I'm not as close with. The trip is easy, a few hours by plane with a direct flight. Money is not a problem, we have savings. I pay all the bills, groceries, outings, and half of the rent. I'd be more than happy to pay for his trip as well. Also, time would not be a problem as my partner is unemployed at the moment and continues to say that he has nothing to do. Another thing that tells me he doesn't accept my trip is that he says it's useless being here, asking me what I'm doing here. Yes, my work involves a lot of time at the computer. It's an individual aspect of it, which of course could be mostly done remotely. The thing is, I'm required to be here. I want to be here because I want a good career and maybe take this as a chance to meet people who can help me with my job. Even if it might seem useless, I'm here, so it makes no sense to dwell on that anymore. These little gestures have worried me. I'm afraid my work is not being respected, and therefore neither is my contribution. I'm afraid all of my close friends will happily come to visit me, everyone but him. I'm afraid if I get a good internship with a big company overseas, I would be judged. I kind of feel like I'm being punished. I kind of feel he feels abandoned. But I'm not sure if I'm overreacting or if I feel emotional because I'm abroad or what. I also don't know how to express these concerns well, especially when in-person communication cannot take place. To sum up, I'm away for a few months for work. This is the only time this has ever happened. My partner, who I live with, won't plan to visit me and says what I'm doing here is useless because my boss is not with me 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. I know I'll feel resentful if he won't come and support me to the fullest. I don't know what to do. Now, for a few comments before the update. Comment 1. How does this compare to his usual behavior and level of support? How comfortable are you asking him directly why he is not being supportive, and or telling him how it makes you feel, that you want him to visit and that you need his support? Or let's say, how comfortable would you be if you could bring that up in person? How is communication between you? Comment 2. He is not supporting your career, and he is trying to make your life all about his insecurity. Don't let his negativity keep you from doing what you need for your career. If he continues to make this a problem, think about if you want to live like this for the rest of your life. Now, for the update. I'm back with more updates. Since I last posted, life's been a mix of chaos and me trying to act like everything's fine. I got this message from my partner out of nowhere, saying he couldn't come visit because of a family emergency. Like, thanks for the vague text, dude. No details, nothing. Just made me worry even more about our already shaky relationship. So here I was, trying to focus on my fieldwork, trying to be productive. It was tough, not gonna lie. I mean, I get it. Life happens. But when you're already stressed out about being apart for so long, something like that kind of pushes you over the edge. A week later, my partner sends me another message. He's attending a family gathering. Like, okay, that's nice. But what about the family emergency? Apparently, they were celebrating his cousin's graduation. Super exciting, right? I asked him if he could share more details about the emergency, and guess what? He just changed the subject. Classic. So, I did what any worried girlfriend would do. I reached out to his sister to ask about the gathering. She mentioned it was a small celebration, and she was surprised that I wasn't there. Oh, trust me, I was surprised too. So a few days later, I get a video call from my partner during this family gathering, and let me tell you, he looked so distracted. He kept glancing at his phone like he was waiting for some important text or something. And then, out of nowhere, his cousin shows up in the background, celebrating with everyone. It was like a slap in the face. The call ended abruptly when his mom called him over to join the celebration. Like, hello? What about the family emergency? A week passed, and then my partner messages me saying we need to talk. Oh joy. So we arranged a call for the next day, and during that call, he finally admitted that he had been struggling with feelings of abandonment. He had been hanging out with some friend from high school who just moved back to town. Apparently, they're just friends. He kept saying it wasn't serious, but then got all defensive when I pressed for more information. We kind of started arguing about the lack of communication and support from both sides, and honestly, it just felt like we were going in circles, throwing accusations at each other. He insisted he needed space to figure things out. So here I am, trying to be supportive, and he's asking for space. I can't even keep track of how many times I've been supportive of his crap, and this is how he repays me? Anyway, to distract myself from all this mess, I decided to visit a local art exhibit with my colleagues. I just needed a break from everything. And guess who I bumped into? An old friend. She was really concerned about my relationship and asked how things were going. I just said we were working through some stuff. She seemed to know more than she let on, and it made me wonder what else was happening that I didn't know about. My partner's friend from high school might also be moving to this city. Just what I needed to hear. So now, not only do I have to deal with a distant partner, but I also have to worry about this new friend from high school. Great. We ended our discussion with no clear resolution, just like that. We agreed to think things over. A few days later, I learned that the job opportunity I was hoping for was contingent on a major project deadline. My boss just casually mentioned it, like, oh hey, by the way. Now I'm left wondering, what would happen if I did get the job? Would my partner resent me for it? Would he feel even more abandoned? It's like a never-ending cycle of stress and uncertainty. Edit. I wanted to clarify that my partner's family emergency turned out to be a surprise graduation party for his cousin, which was not communicated to me initially. His cousin's graduation was celebrated with a gathering, and my partner's friend from high school is indeed moving to my city. If you like this video, you'll probably like these too. Also, while you're here, please consider subscribing. It's your support that keeps this channel alive and allows me to make better and longer videos. Have a great day.